What's up, guys, and welcome back to this week's episode of No Filter. Man, there's so much in store. I know you guys are going to enjoy this week's episode. But before we get into the episode, I would love to invite you to a Touch in Heaven service that we have happening this evening at 7 p.m, time in worship and prayer as a community. So why don't you join us this evening? But back to the show, there's so much in store. We've been talking about positively shaping myself. So why don't you check this out of what's happening in this week's episode?
Hey guys, we're back. We are not on the streets and we are not on the phone this week, but we are on the Zoom. That's right, we still can't go out because it's lockdown, and Jesse's somewhere out on holiday, apparently, but he's away, and Benito is somewhere out there being a dad, so you're stuck with me this week. I'm Helder from our Guildford location, and I'm going to be asking some of the young adults in our community about how they have been navigating this season of lockdown. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to send out the Zoom link to some of the young adults, and we'll see who pick up and join the Zoom. Hey, so this is Stacey. Stacey, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Stacey's one of our young adults and in our community. I'm just going to be having a quick chat with her about navigating lockdown, what her experience has been like and how she's found it, and if she can give anyone some top tips. But before we get into like the deep stuff, I want to ask you some quick 5 questions, if that's okay, Stacey. What's your favourite lockdown snack?
Not a snack, but probably a full-on roast.
Full-on roast?
A full-on roast.
Out here cooking like roasts.
Roast potatoes everywhere, yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice. No, I love it. Favourite lockdown Netflix show?
Ooh, The Crown.
The Crown, yeah, popular choice. Lockdown guilty pleasure?
Ooh, actually I've started knitting. That is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. I've taken up knitting. So.
Have you got the Christmas? I can see that Christmas tree up right behind you.
I put them up at the start of November.
At the start of November?
My presents are all wrapped. I'm ready to go for Christmas.
Controversial. Now, we're a bit slow in this house. Like, that's why I'm wearing a woolly hat as well, because my mum refuses to turn on the heating. I'm freezing right now. Any top tips for navigating lockdown? And maybe you can talk a bit more about what your experience has been like. How have you stayed emotionally healthy, spiritually, and even physically? It'd be good to know.
So I'd say probably emotionally, I've definitely had to lean on my friends and family a lot more. It's very easy to distract yourself when you're not in lockdown, but when you're in a confined space and your contact is limited, I've really found I am more emotional anyway, I guess, because everything is brought to the surface because you can't escape to the normal things we do. Spiritually, I know when the first lockdown hit, that was like, I just went straight to my Bible, like every morning was like just seeking the word and doing Bible studies, and I learned so much. And I just feel like this year more than any year, I've just learned to trust completely on God, and I graduated this year as well. So I went into a very...
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've realised the complete importance of it. It just has made me feel just so calm when I'm in a state of panic, or it makes everything clear that it seems unclear at the time. It's like, even if I don't have an answer right now, just going to God and just trusting on Him is the only way, I think, right now in this lockdown, because we don't have the answers at the moment.
That's right, because you're in the performing arts industry, aren't you? And that's been a particular industry that's been really hit by lockdown. Like, how have you found like security? Because you're speaking like so boldly and so confidently, and like you just know that God's got you. Like, where does that come from?
Like previous experiences of realizing that, looking back, God really had me in that situation, and knowing that even if this situation seems worse or even more uncertain, He's had me before, He has me again.
And I also love that you touched on something as well about like helping people, helping others, and making the space and the time to just like bless other people. Like, can you give some examples in how you did that, and just maybe encourage some people as well? Because I think like helping people, being outward focused, especially when your world is so closed in, can make such a big difference to us personally, as well as the person that we're helping.
I've joined a lot of Facebook groups through lockdown and things, and like reached out for like Christian women groups and things that, aren't necessarily, I would never meet them. They're groups of girls from around the world and things, but there's one group in particular I'm part of. People post their, situations they need prayer for or stuff like that. Just being able to offer some advice on that, or receive advice for myself, that's just been so good. I've just learnt so much. It's it's amazing because right now you can feel really secluded, but you can be connected to everyone around the world because we're all going through the same thing, you know. There's not many countries that aren't facing this right now.
Thanks so much, Stacey. And yeah, we'll see who else is going to join the link now. I think we've got someone else waiting. Hey Joel, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Hey man, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's good to have you here. I'm going to be asking you just a few quick questions because you're a student in our young adults community, and I think that you've got some wisdom and some encouraging tips to kind of share. So question one, what's your favorite lockdown snack?
Crunchy chocolate bar.
What's your favorite lockdown Netflix show?
It has to be, what was it? Before fasting, it was Modern Family.
What's your lockdown guilty pleasure?
I mean, I don't think it's a guilty pleasure because it's kind of for my degree, and in the only free time I get, it's music writing, really. That's probably what I do.
Can you give us some tips for students, especially navigating lockdown? Like, what has your experiences been like?
For students, I think community is key and really getting yourself involved in a crew. I know I've had the privilege of leading a crew since lockdown began way back in March, and it's been one of the most fruitful things I think I've witnessed during lockdown, of just seeing lots of people and having a community of people where I can really grow my faith and ask those questions that I guess you wouldn't have the opportunity to ask in any other kind of context.
During this time of lockdown, like, how have you stayed spiritually?
Just like you have to be intentional about your relationships with others, you've got to be intentional about your relationship with God. Even in your own time, I challenge you in the week that you can spend time. I know Gary loves to talk about his God chair. I can tell you my God chair is just behind me, that little white IKEA chair, very comfortable. That for me is really key to my walk with God, is actually spending time with him, praying, reading the Bible.
No, that's awesome, Joel. Thanks so much for the chat. I know so many people will be encouraged and blessed by this. Well, that's it from me. Over to you guys in the studio.
Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of No Filter. In the studio, we have Michael MDC.
What's up, man?
How's it going, bro? You good?
Yeah, great.
Good. And we have Jake Moores in the studio.
Yes, good to be here on No Filter.
Good to have you. It's good to have you, man. And this whole month we've been talking around that theme of positively shaping myself. The people that are around us, what we think about in our heads, positive or negative. But today we want to talk about self-care, self-care, and why it's important for us to take care of ourselves, our well-being, and especially being in a second lockdown, guys. Come on, we're back at it again. I think looking at how we can take care of ourselves physically and spiritually is so important.
Yeah.
And as a church, we're doing 21 days of prayer and fasting. How's that going for you guys?
Yeah, good. I'm not fasting coffee, hence
you're
a little
not.
coffee
Yeah,
to keep me warm
not.
today, but I am fasting chocolate, which you wouldn't think, but it is quite a challenging one for me. Every cereal that I pick, I like these Muller Corner yogurts that I can no longer have. Every choice, you know, you like Muller Corner
Remember
yogurts.
them ones?
Yeah, they're good. But it's going all right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm fasting, but obviously we'll chat a bit more about.
Yeah, for me, it's been going all right. It's been a different one. This is the first time I've properly said I'm going to switch off all social media and digitally. And, you know, I've
Switch off, delete the app, switch off, or
app's
just
gone. It's not moved to the side library. It's gone. I have to go into the App Store to get it back.
Have you done that yet?
Yeah. That was
You've
day
gone into
one.
the App Store to try and get it back?
No, I took it off. Not opened the App Store. Tried to delete the App Store, didn't work. No, but for me, I really noticed at the very early beginning of the fast, it's so subconscious in me, and muscle memory to just flick to Instagram to look something up in the morning or evening or just during the day, just to kill time. I didn't even realize it was so embedded.
Yeah.
And so every time at the beginning, I kind of did these things. I'm like, oh wow, it's such a distraction of my attention sometimes without even me realizing it. It wasn't intentional, but I deferred to it.
You know, I like that you said about the deferred. We're talking about how we can take care of ourselves. This whole month we spoke about the people that are around us. We spoke about making a difference in our environment. But really, if we don't take care of self, we can't take care of the people that are around us, right?
Yeah, right.
And when it comes to fasting, sometimes fasting requires that we go without in the physical. So if we're going without in the physical, what are the benefits from doing the fast? I'll throw it to you, Michael. What are some of the benefits? So what have you learned from this year's fast?
I think for me, it's really fasting and praying go hand in hand.
Yeah.
One it doesn't really go without the other. They've got to be done at the same time. Otherwise, it's kind of really just I'm just doing something for my own benefit.
Yeah.
Trying to lose some weight or trying.
Yeah, that is real though. Come on,
I mean,
that's real.
It's got to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And for me, like I said earlier, cool. All right. So I noticed about my attention has been automatically deferring to something that's not there anymore. So instead, what's my attention turning to?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's about taking those opportunities and saying, okay, cool, well, let me fix my attention on God. Let me spend some time in prayer and fasting. Because for me, I take my cue from the story of Daniel, for me, is crazy because, he at that time in his point in his life, just early on, when the king's looking for people to advise him and the king's looking for people to actually gather around him, Daniel took it upon himself to stand out away from everyone else and stand outside of it by actually depriving himself of some really fundamental things that he was already putting on offer for everyone else.
Yeah.
So like he said, all right, cool, I'm just going to eat vegetables and drink water. But then the Bible says that he ended up looking healthier and stronger and wiser than everyone else that was around him.
Yeah.
And so for me, like anything this time of fasting and praying has highlighted to me that when I engage in those things and when I engage in prayer, it's actually reminding me that the things that I've deprived aren't the things that actually are my source, but God is the source.
Yeah. Great.
God is the things that's actually at work in me when I'm, when I'm depriving myself of these things. God is providing in those things, in those areas, and fulfilling me, and revealing mysteries to me, revealing and providing breakthrough in my life.
Yeah, I love that you say that because as we go without, we actually draw closer to God. And when it comes to fasting, I'm always reminded of this saying which says, physical obedience brings spiritual release. As I'm physically obeying God and I'm going without, the things that I love to do, whether it's the chocolate, whether it's the social media, as I'm going without, actually spiritually, I'm getting closer to God. I'm being replenished, I'm getting renewed in my inner being, and I feel closer to him. And it's amazing how physically we might be going without, but we grow in our faith, we feel closer to God. And I love that when it comes to prayer and fasting. And, in the second lockdown right now, and we're going through the fasting, a second thing that maybe most of us will be struggling with being young adults working 9 to 5. Maybe you're working at home, right? Yeah. Studies show that we're less productive at home. We're waking up way later, we're working too many hours, if that makes sense. We're behind on Zoom calls. We're behind the laptop all day, like Jake, throwing it to you. When it comes to being productive and having healthy boundaries around working from home, because sometimes we can overwork from home or we can have screen time, and actually that's affecting our health physically. Like, what helps you? What have you been doing?
I think it's true, innit? Like, 9 a.m. working from home seems earlier than it ever used to.
It seems so much earlier.
When you're in the office, 9 a.m. is like 9 a.m., but
from
home, for some reason, it's... But I was thinking, I kind of put it in, like, 3 switch keys.
Yeah.
And I'd say, firstly, switch on. Secondly, switch it up. And thirdly, switch off.
Right.
So I always say, for me, I've got my dedicated workspace, but before stepping into that, or what do I switch on to first thing in the morning?
Yeah.
Do I switch on to my emails? Do I switch on to social media? It's so tempting, as we know. You can't, I'm sorry. But what do I switch on to first? Actually decide I'm going to switch on to God before I step into anything that's ahead for me for the day. That, for me, is how I start my day, because it's so easy to get so stuck into, I'm at home, flip my laptop open, emails, into work.
So you're saying you'll do that before you get into your work day?
Yeah, for me, I know people have different ways of doing it, but for me, it helps set up the day being like, all right, I've got all these things ahead, but not what can I bring to this, but all right, God, what are we going to achieve today? Starting with him, bringing him into every part of that. Then I say switch it up. Working from home, you can be sat at the same place, Zoom after Zoom after Zoom. You have a few of them. But I think switching up, whether it's going for a walk, going for a run, for me, I was reading there's like slow twitch and fast twitch thinkers.
Yeah.
And I'm slow twitch, like I need time to come out from a meeting, go away, go for a run, then come up with an idea rather than there and then in the moment.
Yeah.
So I find switching it up, whatever you do, a push-up in between a Zoom call or something to just grab a coffee, switch it up. I'm sure we're all used to that stuff. And then last one, switch off, and we were chatting about that before. What is it? You've got your dedicated workspace, but how do you step out of that and be like, all right, okay, work mode is off, so you're not there watching I'm a Celebrity doing emails, which I'm guilty of now and again.
Or you've got a second tab from a YouTube while you're doing the work, Yeah.
Literally. But what do you do to switch off? So whether it's, my wife's got the perfect one, she wears a lanyard for work, and then as soon as work's over, she takes that lanyard off. That's time. I clear up my workspace, that's me. You do a star jump or something to be like, just something that says, all right, now I'm switching off from the works.
So I like that you said now you're switching off. So you would say there has to be an effort, like you have to be aware that, okay, these are the boundaries that I'm clearing. I'm making time for God in my day. Gary always says it on a Sunday, he says, coffee with God in the morning, so you're making time with God in your day. You're blocking out the hours to work so you can keep it productive, but you have a switch off. And I think, especially in our generation, and if I can speak about myself, switching off is so hard, man.
So hard.
Over-consuming and everything that is around us, and that's where prayer and fasting really can benefit us in the physical, not just physically, but spiritually. we're in tune with God. You know, in the Bible it talks about how our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, you know.
Yeah.
And in Romans, Paul talks about how we need to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice. So kind of coming back to offering our lives to God and, you know, just involving him in our everyday can actually make a difference. And when it comes to eating and our diets, and have you guys been cooking meals at home or microwave meals, Deliveroo, Uber Eats? Like, what's been the vibe for you?
Loads, man.
Are you the chef at home, newly married man?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, I just have a geeky passion towards that. My switch off would be like, let me...
What's been one meal that you've learned during the second lockdown?
Made fresh pasta on the weekend.
Fresh pasta from scratch?
Yeah. It's actually not that deep.
Pesto pasta lasagna, that's what you need to try.
Yeah.
Tori Clark introduced us to it.
Pasta?
Pesto, yeah. It's like a veggie lasagna.
Yeah,
It's great. It's great.
Oh man, that's amazing. And guys, you know what? We just want to encourage you guys when it comes around that topic of self-care. We honestly believe in taking care of ourselves. We believe in switching off. We honestly are huge advocates of making room for God in your everyday. So keep these conversations going in your crews. And as a community, let's get better together as we take care of ourselves. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. We'll speak to you guys next week. Take care. Man, how cool is that conversation around self-care? We really want to encourage you guys, keep the conversation flowing in your crews. We certainly haven't got all the answers, but in our crews, we can keep the convo going, and it's so cool when we all get to really talk about what we experience when it comes to lockdown and taking care of ourselves. But guys, as we go on to our initiative of good news, we've been doing this week after week, and we're passionate about making a difference. And as a young adult community, we know that we're sponsoring a teenage child from the Compassion Project, and our aim is to sponsor them for 5 years. We've already raised a whole bunch of money, but we would love for you guys to get involved and make a difference in somebody's life, and the information of how you can do that is actually going to pop up on the screen right now. So it doesn't matter how much you give, but the small amount that you give can make a difference in somebody's world. So why don't you do that? On the 1st of December, guys, we have a new to team night. So if you're new to team, if you're new to church, and you would love to get involved in what we're doing here in YSYA, why don't you come to that night? That's also gonna pop up on the screen. We would love to see you guys there, but I'm excited about this. The YSYA service, the last one of the year, we have our very own Joe Watson, our YSYA pastor, bringing the word next weekend. So guys, make sure you're in for that, you're leaning in. It's gonna be such a good vibe, and it won't be the same without you guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Hey, thanks for watching No Filter. Make sure you like, subscribe, or check out some of our other videos.